Hi there, my name is Blake and I'm a developer here at Portant. Today I'll be demonstrating how the Portant workflow platform uses Google OAuth scopes. As you can see, we use Google Identity to allow for users to easily sign in to our platform. When users sign in for the first time, they'll be presented with the option to create a tutorial workflow. Upon clicking this, they'll be displayed with a pre-authorization modal, which has the sign in with Google button. And as you can see here, we have our client ID in the URL. At this stage, we are just allowing the user to authorize the drive.file scope. The reason for this is so the user can select files to use with our platform. That would be source spreadsheets and template documents, as in Google Docs and Google Slides, and also to allow us to create output documents in their drive. So what we have here is a workflow created in Portant, which is composed of 3 stages. The first stage is the source stage, and in this case we're using a Google Sheets file. Data is pulled from this spreadsheet and merged into template documents within the workflow. In this case, the template document is a Google Slides file, and you can see the template tags match the column headers of the spreadsheet. Finally, we then have an email block, and this allows the user to configure how documents are automatically shared with the intended recipients. So we can go ahead and start our first automation. We'll be presented with a pre-authorization modal explaining how we are going to be using the Gmail send scope. We'll continue to sign in. Once again, we have our client ID present in the URL bar. Continuing on, you can see that we are now requesting the email send scope. And once the user approves, they can then go ahead and start the automation. So as the automation is running, we are sourcing data from the spreadsheet, merging that with a template document, and then distributing that to the recipients. So what we have here is the output document that was created. So in this case, we pulled data about John Smith from our spreadsheet, merged that with the Google Slides file, and created this specific output document. We also configured for this to be sent automatically to the recipient via their email, which I've just used my own email for, and you can see that that has been emailed via Portant to us with the file as a PDF attachment. So here I'll be demonstrating how users can create their own automated workflow. So from app.portant.co, they can go and create a new workflow, which they can name and customize the appearance of. We'll go ahead and click create. They're then asked where they'd like to source data from. Currently, we are only offering Google Sheets. So we'll go ahead and click that. This will create what we call a source block in their workflow. And the first step is to attach a file from their Google Drive. They can either create a file, in which instance we will use the Google Drive API to create a file in their Google Drive, or they can they can select an existing file. For simplicity, we'll just go ahead and create a file. So at this moment is when the API request is happening to the Google Drive API. So we can now jump into the source block and we can see the created file which exists within their drive. This is copied from a template sheets file that we have created. So we can go ahead and see that each column is essentially used as a field when it comes to creating template tags. So we'll see that in the next stage. We can go ahead and then select our template file, which could either be a Google Docs or a Google Slides file. In this case, we'll use Google Docs. This has now created what we call a document or a template block. We can go ahead and have the same process of either creating a document for the user or allowing them to select one from Google Drive. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that. I guess this looks like an appropriate file to use. So now we've attached a file from our Google Drive to the workflow, and you can see here we have the fields from the spreadsheet are being pulled in automatically, and we can go ahead and put them into our document. So again, we can also configure the template tag, the output name using template tags. So we'll go ahead and update that. And finally, we can also add an email configuration. This is the means to automatically share created documents. As you saw in the previous example, we can use template tags in the to field. We can actually use template tags in every single field here, besides the from address, obviously. So we'll just go ahead and we'll just say hi name, and then we can write our message, blah, blah, blah. It is important to select attachments, so this describes how the created documents are then attached to the distributed email. So in this instance, we will attach it as a PDF and also as a link to the Google Drive file itself. We'll go ahead and save this. And as you can see, we now have a valid workflow. So we'll go ahead and start the automation, and we're being requested to now provide the Gmail send scope. So the reason that we're getting requested for this at this point is because our workflow specifically had an email configuration within it. We only request this scope when that is the case to adhere to incremental authorization. We'll go ahead and allow that. And now we're prompted if we would like to start our automation. Yes, we would. And that's running. So how data is flowing is that it is being pulled from Google Sheets or from the user's Google Drive. The template is also being copied in the Google Drive, and then through the Google Docs or the Google Slides API, that data is then being merged with a copy of the template document. Then from Google Drive, that document is being pulled into our service, either as a PDF or as a link, and then back to the Gmail API that is being distributed. So we can now see that we have that output document created and an email has been sent.